In the 4th century BC, the famous Persian satrap Mausolos moved the Caria region's capital from Mylasa to Halikarnassos. He built city walls, theatre, agora, Apollo's temple, and his palace on the small island in his new capital. Satrap Mausolos, who also built the Mylasa and Myndos gates as the two main entrance gates of the ancient Halikarnassos, forced the peoples of the 6 Leleg cities in the region to move to Halikarnassos to increase the population of his new capital. Mausolos also started constructing his mausoleum during his lifetime and left one of the most beautiful cities of antiquity to his people after his death. 334 BC, after crossing the Dardanelles and defeating the Persian armies in Granicus, Alexander the Great started capturing most of the major cities in western Anatolia and reached Halikarnassos after taking over Sardes, Ephesus, and Miletus. Taking along the Carian queen Ada, exiled to the city of Olinda by his brother Pixodoros, Alexander the Great laid siege to the city of Halikarnassus, surrounded by magnificent city walls and defended by Persian and Greek forces. The Persian army and Greek mercenaries defended the city under Memnon of Rhodes and Persian satrap Orontobates. Alexander the Great, who rapidly captured most of the cities on the Aegean region, confronted great difficulties in Halikarnassos assisted by a powerful Persian navy in the harbour. Meanwhile, Alexander first attacked the city of Myndos, but could not take it. After his great disappointment, he intensified his attacks on Halikarnassos. Alexander, who also brought his siege equipment such as siege towers, ram heads, and catapults from Miletus, was very determined to take this well-defended city as soon as possible. Continuous attacks of the Macedonians, wall repairs, and counter-attacks of the Persians lasted for weeks. Alexander, who used siege towers, ram heads, catapults, encountered surprisingly strong defense of the Persians and the Greek mercenaries. The bloody war continued between Macedonian soldiers and the Persians, who occasionally go out of the city walls, attack the Macedonian army, and burn siege engines. Ancient writers tell us the Persians' drama, who once came out of the Myndos gate but had to retreat with the counterattack of experienced Macedonian warriors and all massacred after the collapse of wooden bridges over the moat and after the closure of city gates. Both armies didn't show any success during this struggle lasting months. During the autumn attacks, the Macedonians managed to enter the city. Realizing that it is now over, Memnon of Rhodes assembled his generals and decided to leave the city. The Persians retreat only by leaving troops in the castles on either side of the harbour. The falling city is exposed to a big fire intensified by the strong wind and looting of invading forces. The Persians left the city of the Halikarnassus by boarding their ships in the harbour. Although the war and fire heavily destroyed the town, fortunately, the mausoleum was not damaged. Excavations carried out at the Myndos Gate, which is part of the city's famous fortification walls, led to the discovery of human skeletons, remains of weapons, and surprisingly, the archaeologist also discovered the trenches which prevented the siege engines from approaching the city walls. The details of the siege of Halikarnassus are mentioned by the ancient writers Diodorus and Arrian in detail. 22 monumental tombs belonging to noble Roman citizens to the south of the Myndos Gate are dated to the late Roman period, 4th and 5th centuries AD. Many of these tombs are built independently or some in a row, have mosaics with animal and geometric motifs. These monumental tombs generally consist of an entrance room decorated with mosaics and 1 or 2 rooms covered with a vaulted roof. In these burial monuments, the burial was made in the small rooms below. The mosaics in the graves excavated by the English archaeologist Charles Newton in the 19th century are now covered for protection.